Okay, this is the gas and water job. Here's the instructions for the exam. There's the actual plan. Your barbecue is going to go 24 metres away from your datum point. The datum point, which is the edge of a door in this case. You've got an openable window there, which is 800 plus your 2.4 or 2400 mil, which gives you 3.2. Then you come down your 600, which gives you 2.6. So from the bottom of the window to the floor is 2.6 meters. Alright, make sure you take those two measurements into account when you're working out where you're going to put your hot water service. Make a provision for the installation of the gas meter, which is getting at where you're going to bring your copper pipe up to meet for so the gas meter can be put on. Should have a drawing in the front of your regs. So it's 330 from the authority standpipe to your standpipe, 200 off the ground, something like 200 mil off the wall. You should have that drawing in the front of your regs stuck in. So that bit's easy. Use your minimum pipe sizes from the meter position to the hot water unit and leave a sealed branch. When they say a sealed branch, they're talking about a compression going to a male with a cap on the end. All right, don't just crimp and seal the solder it. Test the consumer piping as per the standard. Make sure you're on. It's all on your standard. You should have all that sorted out before you get to the exam, with either of the appliances connected, or if they're not connected, what the operating pressure is, so you can work out how much you need to pressure test it to. When you're sizing the pipe, make sure you're looking in the right column for the sizing. Don't fall into the trap of reading into the wrong column. You'll end up with the wrong pipe size. Page 101 talks about flue clearances from the flue terminal. You need to look at that when you're putting your hot water service on the wall. Leave a point for the connection of the test bucket on the side of the board where indicated. In the exam, they don't give you that point. They just tell you to leave a point somewhere so you can hook the water to it or hook the test bucket on. Install a tempered bib tap. In the plan, your tempered bib tap's there, and that's your cold water tap. Install a tempering valve. Needs to be used to temper the water to the tempered bib tap. Right. So there's the plan. This is where you'll install the job. So the side of the board there is your datum point, and the door's there. So you got to make sure you got your clearances away from there. Your window works out to be way up here somewhere. First thing I do is stick your taps on and stick the gas authorities pipe on. Because those points are fixed, you're best off putting your fixed points in first, so you got something to work from. I've put my hot water service in underneath the window, and I've got my clearance from the door, the page 101, your standard. I've stuck it there rather than over here somewhere, away from the window. But as soon as you stick it over here somewhere, the job becomes very jammed. You've got a lot of pipes in a small sort of space, and it's hard to make it look neat. So you're best off where you can, spacing the job out a bit to make it a lot easier to work to. From that spot there, I'd write on the board with some of the white engineering chalk where you're going to run the pipes. A little bit of planning at the start of the job makes the whole job run a lot better, because then you're just following the plan, then making your pipes up to suit what you've got on the wall already, what you've got drawn on the board. Don't fall into the trap of just getting there and blasting in and throwing your water pipes there and thinking, oh geez, where am I going to run the gas now? Well, I've mucked myself up, and then you're backstepping. Okay, now I've got all my pipes drawn on the map, drawn on the board. I know where I'm going. I always go about installing me cold water line first, mainly because once I've got it all planned out, the gas line's fairly easy to run afterwards. Once I've finished the cold water line, I've just left the point there. If you can, you should put it on test as soon as you get the chance. then by the time you finish the whole job, if any water leaks are there, they'll be fairly evident by the time you're finished. With the isolation of the unit, I've got the valve there, little 1/2 inch full flow valve. The reason it's there is because the fittings you get given, you need to have that in. That's a 1/2 inch line, so you need to change the 1/2 inch. So that T there is a 3/4 half T. So half to your cold water line and half up to your hot water service. You need to make sure you've got the isolation valve in such a spot where you can isolate the tempering valve and isolate the hot water service. Usually you're always told that you're not meant to be teeing off a 1/2 inch cold water line, but because the tempering valve isn't classed as a fixture, it's the only place where you're actually allowed to tee off to the tempering valve off a 1/2 inch line. You just need to make sure you also have means of isolation for the tempering valve and the hot water service. When you're testing the cold water line, a bit of tissue works best, because then you can go around, test each joint with a bit of tissue, and a bit of tissue will show up the slightest weep. When you're testing with a test bag, you need to make sure you pump it up to 1500 kPa, or you just connect it to the water supply from a hose or something. Now comes time to put the gas pipe on the wall. You should always do a little sizing like this. You've got your part A, that's your meter, going to the first T, then the hot water service, then the barbecue. You should always do this little pipe size drawing somewhere near your job, so the examiner sees that you actually know what's going on. Don't fall in the trap of copying the bloke next to you, because depending on the pressure drop of the job, and depending on what megajoules this fixture is, this appliance is here, this could either be 15 or 20 mil. So make sure you work out the pipe sizing for yourself. The main run will be the distance from the meter to the barbecue, which is from the meter to the furthest away appliance. That's always your main run. In this case, it's your 24 meters. So make sure, again, you're looking in the right table for the pipe sizing. And right, this is how I've run the gas pipe. I've run it down and over, and kicked it back into the wall there. So I've run it over all my water pipes, run it along, left my standpipe where it needs to be so the meter can be connected off that drawing, should be in the front of your regs. From there I've gone to 1/2 inch and to a 6. When you're testing the insulation, you'll test it from the point of the standpipe there. Make sure you listen carefully to the examiner's instructions, because depending if the appliance is connected or if it's not connected, and depending on the operating pressure of the fitting line, there are a few different factors in that when you're testing the fitting line. And it's just a matter of going to that part in your standard under testing and making sure you're reading the right bit. Got any leaks, use soapy bubbles to test it. Find your leak. Make sure you've got your isolation valve on, going to the hot water service for your gas. Again, this whole job is about planning it out at the start. Seeing lots of blokes muck it up because they get there, and before they do any planning, they just start chucking pipes on the wall. Then they find that, oh geez, I've got a pipe that's got to get over to here, and I've got to jump little jumps over pipes, and it looks terrible. It's hard to get it straight. You spend 10 minutes at the start of the job working out where you're going to run all your pipes. It makes the whole thing a lot better, because once you've worked out on the board where you're going to run all your pipes, you just follow the plan then. It's all easy. I've seen blokes do this job in 2 hours. You got 6 hours in the exam. I've seen them do it in 2 and then do it easy. And they've planned it out really well at the start. Okay, here's sizing the consumer piping. For that job on the wall, should always go through that little pipe sizing. In Appendix F, it all runs through it. If you read through Appendix F and read through it and do as this says, there should not be a hassle. Things to watch for determining the main run, which will be from the meter to that furthest away appliance. In this case, it's the barbecue. Once you've found your main run, you stay in the column for the main run. Here's the table. In the job, they've given you a pressure drop of 0.75 kPa. You've got natural gas and it's flowing through copper pipe. Come down to your main run. In the job, it's 24, so you've got to jump up to 25. So with the hot water service and the barbecue from section A to B, you've got more than your 54, so you've got to run it in 20 mil. Run into your hot water service, you've still got more than 54, so you've still got to stay in the 20 mil. When you tee off the other way to your barbecue, that's when you can drop down to 15, because you can run in 15 mil, you can run 54 megs, and the barbecue is only 35. The sizing should be the easy part of that job, and you should have it down pat before you get to the exam. Okay, this is pressure testing a gas installation. When you go to pressure test your installation, there's two sections you need to refer to. Alright, you've got testing consumer piping without appliances connected, and you've also got testing consumer piping with appliances connected. This details the procedure you need to go through when testing it. Connecting a suitable pressure gauge and pressurizer consumer piping to 7 kPa or 1.5 times the operating pressure, which is ever greater. If the examiner comes to you and he says, righto, the operating pressure of your gas fitting line is going to be 6 kPa, you need to go 6 kPa times your 1.5 gives you 9 kPa. 9 kPa is greater than 7 kPa, so you need to test the fitting line to 9 kPa. If the examiner comes to you and said the operating pressure of the fitting line is going to be 1.1 kPa, 1.1 times 1.5 is not greater than 7 kPa. So you would need to test the fitting line at 7 kPa. Right, for consumer piping with a volume not exceeding 30 litres, there is to be no loss of pressure during a test period of 5 minutes. Where the pipe volume exceeds 30 litres, the test period required in D is to be extended by 5 minutes for every additional 30 litres or they're part of. So if the examiner came to you and he said, righto, your installation is 77 litres, you need to go, righto, that's one lot of 30, another lot of 30 is going to be 60, you still haven't got your 77 litres, so you need to go to 90 litres. So you've got 3 sets of 30 litres. So 3 times your 5 is going to be 15. So you need to pressure test the installation for 15 minutes. Then we come to testing consumer piping with appliances connected. Same deal again. This is the main clause you need to worry about here. Subject the consumer piping to operating pressure. So the examiner may come to you and he might say, righto, the operating pressure of this fitting line is 1.1 kPa. With appliances connected, please pressure test the installation. So you need to subject consumer piping to operating pressure. If the operating pressure is 1.1, you test it to 1.1, which is the operating pressure. And same as above with the amount of time you need to test it for. If it was 62 litres of pipe volume, you'd have 30, 60, still haven't got your 62, so you got to go to 90. You got 3 lots of 30 in that. 3 times your 5 is 15 minutes, so you need a pressure testing installation for 15 minutes.